Hey guys, welcome back to this channel. So before we get started, I just want to go over the quick rules of this list. So I'm judging the things on this list based on four factors. One, how much money you can make. Two, how sustainable it is. One, how high the barrier for entry is. So the barrier for entry means, how easy is it for other people to get in. The easier it is, the more competition there is, and the less viable it is over the long term. So the stuff that's going to be ranked higher are things that have a little higher barrier for entry. And lastly, risk. So let's just get straight into it. So for the first one, I'm going to put crypto KOL. Now, the thing is, if you've heard me talk in my previous videos about how I feel about KOLs in general, I have very mixed feelings, to put it lightly, about them. There's a lot of things I don't like about them. I think they really pollute the overall crypto community space by providing a lot of really crappy information that affects the people that watch them. One of the reasons why is because what they will do, like in the case of like our friend here, Crypto, and other KOLs, is that they will give advice about where the price is going, and then they're going to shill like a Bybit link or like a link to a website where you can do leverage trading. And they will make money regardless, because once someone signs up, then they get a cut of all the fees from that person's trade. But this isn't really a video about ethics per se. There's a lot I don't like about them. I've worked a lot with these kinds of people in the past, and what I can say about them is the amount of money that they make it will make you feel sick. I met a guy that only had around 40K YouTube subscribers, doing a similar thing to this, doing the whole technical analysis thing on YouTube every day about crypto. And he's been doing it for about 4 or 5 years. The dude makes like 20, 30K like US a month in just Bybit affiliate fees. It is ridiculous how much money they make. I don't like them. I have many problems with what they do. And it's not just that, they'll also shill shitcoins, right, which they own frequently, right? So you hear someone talk about, the why Dogecoin XYZ is the greatest thing since sliced bread. And then on the back end, they're actually holding it. They pump the price, they sell it. And this isn't mentioning other affiliate deals, sponsors that they get, to promote various crypto products. Frequently these people, even if they don't have tons of subscribers, as I mentioned, the person that I know only has 40,000 subscribers, right? You don't need to be even that popular in social media world in order to be able to have a degree of influence that's worth paying money for. So a lot of these people will get invited to large crypto events. Maybe it's like 2049, WebEx, these big conferences out in Dubai or throughout America, or in Hong Kong, and they'll be invited up to speak. They'll be a keynote speaker and they'll make thousands of dollars, right? So this seems like, you need to have like a huge amount of subscribers. You don't even really need that many subscribers. You're just someone that has a decent amount of pull over your audience, and you're what's called a key opinion leader. That's marketing talk just for like someone that has a lot of followers. And if the KOL says, hey guys, you should do this, a lot of them will just do it. The amount of money that they make is ridiculous. I don't like it, but that is just how it is. The next one that I want to talk about, let's see here. This is yield farming. I'm going to put that in D tier. Now, let me just tidy this up real quick. Okay, let's just put this here real quick. KOL, crypto KOL. Putting that in S tier. Because you're gonna forget the images anyway. And yield farming. So what is yield farming? Yield farming also goes by another name, which is liquidity mining. Some people within this community might say that there is a difference, and in my experiences, there's a limited difference. But you're welcome to disagree with me on that. So what is yield farming? Yield farming is it's something that's emerged out of DeFi, and I guess one way you could put it is that you're a liquidity provider, right? You're a liquidity provider for two sets of tokens. So when you go to a DEX, a decentralized exchange, like Uniswap, for instance, right? you're going to swap one token for another token. And usually you'll have one of these tokens will be a primary token, one with the most trading volume. It will be like USDT or Ethereum or wrapped Ethereum, WETH, right, if you will. And then it will be paired with a lesser volume token, right? Usually these tend to be shitcoins, right? And someone that wants to make money in yield farming, what they'll do is they'll provide a token pair to, say, the likes of Uniswap. And then in return, they'll receive a token that represents those two tokens that they put in. Now, the tokens that were put in will be provided as liquidity for people that want to trade. So let's just say you own, we'll just call it dog token X, right? You pair it with USDT and you provide it as liquidity on, say, Uniswap, for example. Let's just say someone else decides that they want to buy dog X token. They're going to sell their USDT on Uniswap, and in exchange, they will get your dog X token, right? And so that's how a decentralized exchange gets access to liquidity for all kinds of tokens. Individuals who are seeking profit will provide their liquidity to the exchange, and they'll be able to get a cut of the fees. And there's various advantages and disadvantages to it. So first, you'll get a fee based, I think, Uniswap charges like a trading fee. I think there's also maybe you make money from slippage. It's been a while since I've done it. And you think, well, this is like a pretty good deal. Like, what's the catch, right? Well, I'll first talk about like how some people can make some serious money doing this, right? So if I talk about Uniswap, your eyes might glaze over because you might be like, well, like how much, what's the real percentage on that, because there's so much liquidity going through there, right? So what people will do is they will go into lower liquidity tokens, right? So if you've got like, say, dog token, like for example, right? And it's got a very low trading volume. Maybe it's like only $1 million is traded every day over like 20 different exchanges, right? So if you provide this liquidity to, say, for example, Uniswap, Uniswap will provide like a very nice, what's called a yield to you, right? They're basically paying you a large amount of money in order for you to provide liquidity on the exchange, right? And this is doubly true if you're using an exchange that doesn't have a lot of liquidity in general, right? So there are all these exchanges that are 1/100th of what Uniswap is in terms of liquidity. And then in order to attract these yield farmers, the people that are providing liquidity, they have to provide like a ridiculous amount of what's called APR. APR is just the amount of yield or money that you can make as a percentage of what you're putting in over the course of a year. It's extrapolated over a year, although it's not like you have to lock your funds in for a year, right? But I'm talking like APRs of like 1,000%, 2,000%, stuff like this. So real hardcore yield farmers, for the most part, will go to like the lowest liquidity exchanges on like lesser known chains, and then they'll provide really crappy shitcoins in order to get like 3,000% like, APR. And then what they'll do is every day they'll log on and then they'll collect that yield. And for the most part, this yield is being paid in this really crappy token. So what they'll have to do is they'll then have to sell that token on the open market, dump it. It's called yield dumping. Farm dumping, where it's like you get like all this yield from this token that you're getting yield from, then you dump it straight away on the open market. And a few things are going to happen. First, because there's so much APR, there's such a high amount of reward for this token, other yield farmers are going to come in, and that's going to lower the amount of money you can make. So these people then will take their money and then go to some other pool and make money until the APR goes down, and then they'll go to some other place until the APR goes down. And you might think this is a really good idea in theory, but the problem is they have to invest in these really crappy tokens that not only do they have a very short lifespan because they're just crap meme token ripoffs or something else, because there's so much inflation within the tokenomics, right? Because you've got all these people that are able to make like 3,000% APR and they're just dumping it on the open market. The price of these tokens that offer such high reward inevitably dumps very quickly. And the people that get burned the most are these farmers, because the people who are most incentivized to own these tokens in the first place are these farmers. They're the ones that are stacking it because they have to provide it as liquidity. And then when the price dumps like 99%, these guys get wrecked the most. And it can make money from time to time, but for the most part, I've seen people mainly get wrecked from it. And it's not something that I would recommend. I don't think it's a very good idea in the long term. Oh, I just realized you can't see this. All right, there we go. The next thing here is trading bots. This is going to be, is it a C or a D? I'm going to put it in D tier. So what are trading bots? I'm sure you've had different people on crypto YouTube, crypto Twitter, shill their particular bot. It's been programmed in the right way to make you profit 100% of the time. The reason why this is such a terrible idea is, first you have to think about it from the person who made it. They have to think about it from their perspective, right? So they've supposedly created a bot that uses is the right formula to make $100 a day. Why on earth would they sell it to you if it was making that much money? And the reason why is simply because it doesn't make that much money. Here's the thing. If they sell this bot, right, to other traders, right, imagine there's 100 people out there with that bot, then the value of whatever competitive advantage that trading bot had is going to be diminished, right? So the only way people make money via like trading and speculation is if they've got some kind of unique advantage over the market, right? So the best traders in the world do not reveal their secret. It's like a magician. The magician never reveals his secret. If you go to top trading firms, they won't, it's very unlikely that the person who's making the most money is going to teach his colleagues or like some underling, like the secret method that he's been building up for decades. He's not going to just tell that to somebody else, because that's just more competition for him, right? It's a little complicated to go into, but you have to understand that trading and speculating, these things are a zero-sum game. The more people win, the more people that have to lose. So ultimately, if you're selling your competitive advantage, like imagine you've built it into this trading bot, right? And it knows exactly the right place to buy and to sell. The more of these things that are on the market, the less effective they are going to be as traders. The only way a trading bot could work is if you built it yourself and you didn't sell it for mass consumption, right? That's where maybe it could work. And frequently, even when people do that, I don't really see people make money. The only people that I see making money with trading bots are people working at an institutional level, and they're not doing normal stuff. Like they're working with like AI, and they've got like really advanced mathematics going on. It's not the kind of thing the average person would do. So trading bots wouldn't be D tier, but the reason why I put it in D tier is because for the most part, people are buying this stuff on Telegram, and they're always crap. So next one. Wait, here we go. Crypto trading bots. We're going to put that in D tier. The next one is ICOs. Now, when I say ICO, I'm also saying IDOs and all the different variations of it, including airdrop farming. I think B or A tier. I'm going to put that in B tier. I would have put that in A tier before, but let me explain the principles behind doing this, right? So back in 2017, the way to make it in crypto was to invest in an ICO. What is an ICO? ICO stands for initial coin offering. And I guess you could say it's kind of like a pre-sale for the public, where like a project, if they want to release a token, they would go and first try and raise funds for the token so they can develop it. And they'll go to one of these ICO providers. I don't know the different names of them now, but there are different websites you can look at, and they promote different ICOs. And basically, in order to be able to to get involved with an ICO, you'd have to maybe participate a little bit in the things they're doing on social media, and you have to join their whitelist like a couple months in advance. But if you get in really early, that's the best chance you have of getting like a 10 to 100x if that project is actually solid. So this became the principal way of people making huge amounts of money in 2017. But what's changed in 2021 and onwards is that there's a few things that change. At first, ICOs just aren't really as popular as anymore. It's considered less fair than the things that came after it, because before the ICO, which is kind of it's tokens that are essentially released to the public, even then it goes through many rounds of pre-sale before that, which is unfair, right? So it goes to the tokens go to the founders, then they go to the angel investors, VCs. You get 2 rounds of pre-sale, and then there's the ICO. And then after the ICO, it gets dumped on the exchanges. But for the most part, ICOs just haven't become profitable because of that. And now it's moved to the IDO, which is a similar thing. I won't go into the details. I worry this video is getting too long. And then you've got airdrops as well, which both of these things tend to be a lot fairer. The reason why I don't think these things are as profitable as they used to be is just because there's so many of them. And especially now, the ease of creating tokens has just gone through the roof, that it's really hard. It's much harder to sort the wheat from the chaff, right? Like back in the day, if you were running an ICO, it seemed like you were the next tech billionaire, right? All you had to do was have an ICO, which was basically just a white paper. You didn't even need to have done anything else. Just have your white paper, release the ICO, and people will just buy it because it's new. Now, if you want to do it, you can do it, but you pretty much have to make it your full-time job, just reading through white papers, checking teams, seeing what the tokenomic distribution is before it's released. And there are other ways of doing it as well, like, IDOs. Like there's different ones like PokerStarter, and there's a couple of them where it's like you stake a certain token and it gives you the right to get a certain percentage of new tokens that come out. There's different ways of doing it. I think it's good because for the most part, like ICOs, you have to put a chunk of money down. A lot of ICOs, you'd have to put like, up to $3,000 in order to be able to participate in, which is too much risk for projects that frequently don't go anywhere in the long term and have unfair, what is it? Like, as I mentioned, they have to go through angel investors, VCs, pre-sales, and then ICOs. So you're already getting dumped on, and you have to guarantee you're putting 3K in. Whereas IDOs and airdrops usually don't cost any money. Therefore, it can actually make money. But as a result, you're probably not going to get like massive gains. There are some really rare examples of like, say, Uniswap. Like if you just used Uniswap before the airdrop, you would get free tokens, right? Didn't cost you anything, and now those things would have been worth so much money. So I think it's good because it's relatively safe, doesn't really cost you that much, fairly decent upside. So yeah, ICOs, IDOs. Next thing I want to put up is staking Ethereum and just other forms of staking. The reason why I value it somewhat highly, but not too high, is because it does make money. You will not make that much money in the long term unless you've got a huge amount of money. But this is theoretically one of those things you can retire on. But in a similar fashion to if you invested in index funds and stuff like that, right? From what I understand, maybe you make like 4% a year, something like that. That's not bad. It maybe keeps up with inflation. But this is the kind of thing where it's like if you've got hundreds of thousands or millions of dollars and you staked it, you could live off it. And for the most part, the smart contract code is very reliable. You can use like Rocket Pool, S.T.ETH. I forget all the different ones for it because I don't really personally do it. But the thing is, these things are very, very safe. And I'm personally very wary of putting your money in some kind of smart contract protocol and just trusting that there isn't going to be a bug and you can leave millions of dollars in there over the long term. I really don't trust this stuff, but staking Ethereum is in fact a very, very safe thing to do. The only downside and the reason why it's not up higher is just because you can't really make that much money, but I don't think that has to be a bad thing in and of itself. Obviously if it's offering like 20%, kind of like in the way Terra Luna was, then you should be running for the hills. So it's just kind of a nice, safe bet. So let's just put this here real quick. Staking crypto. Can put that B tier. There we go. What was the other one? ICO and IDO investor. There we go. All right, on to the next one. Let's make this a bit bigger. What is next? All right, let's do this one. Leverage trading. Where do you think leverage trading should be? D, worst, the absolute worst. In fact, if I could pick anything on here that is the absolute worst way of making money, it's leverage trading. Leverage trading can go by a few names. It can go by futures trading, it can go by derivatives trading. But for those who aren't familiar with how it works, basically, you have the ability to speculate with a higher amount of money than you actually have. So if you go to pretty much any exchange offers leverage trading, but let's just say you go to Bybit or Binance, right? And you only have $100 worth of Bitcoin, and you believe that Bitcoin is going to increase by 10% because you've done some maths, you've looked at the latest crypto video, the latest KOL, and you believe that with the next 7 days it's going to go up by 10%, right? So because you're so certain in that, you'll go take this to the leverage market on Binance, Bybit, whatever, and you can trade with more money than you have. So you might decide, I'm going to trade with 2x leverage. So ordinarily, if the price went up by 10%, what does that mean? You went from $100 to $110. Congratulations, right? But what if you traded with 2x? Well, instead of making an extra $10, you now make an extra $20. What if you trade with 100x? Well, if the price of Bitcoin goes up by 10%, you're trading with 10x leverage. That means you are going to make $100 instead of $10, right? And so on and so forth. You can technically trade up to 100x leverage. What is the catch? The catch is that there is something called the liquidation price, which means if the price goes down a certain point, you lose everything, right? You don't keep a single bit. So the higher leverage that you have, the price won't have to change that much to the downside in order for your position to get liquidated. So obviously, if you're only using 2x leverage, it would have to go down by a lot. The price would have to go down by like 50% in order for you to be totally liquidated and lose everything. But the fact is, you still lose everything, right? There's still risk there. So the higher leverage that you use, the higher the liquidation price and the higher the chance that you'll lose absolutely everything. And I know I need to talk about this first. A lot of people say, well, why not just use stop loss? Well, the stop loss, fine, you won't get liquidated, but you'll lose money at a faster and faster rate. So another reason why this is a big problem is most people, and when I say most people as in like 96% of people aren't going to make any money doing this. They may get lucky sometimes. And you might think, well, I'm different. I'm built different. I'm the 4% of people. Well, I want to make it clear that the 4% of people that really make money, they're institutional traders. They're people with what you would call an unfair advantage. They're people that have been studying this particular kind of thing. I'm not talking like on the University of YouTube. I'm talking like they went to top schools for like 10 years. They got a master's degree. They've got a PhD in like, AI trading or something like that. They traded at top trading firms where their company basically gives them access to millions of dollars to trade with. They might even have insider information, from the exchange itself. They've got huge amounts of information. You've got to understand that you're battling against, and again, this is a zero-sum game because you're trading against other traders and you're not trading against other plebs who got their information from crypto YouTube. You're dealing with people that tear up the entire main roads in on Wall Street just to install like a slightly better fiber optic cable that will allow them to trade slightly faster than a competitive trading firm down the street. It will allow them to trade like 0.0001% like faster, all at the cost of like tens of millions of dollars. Like these are the people you're trading against. The chances that you're going to beat these people long term is basically zero. They're farming you, and it's a terrible, terrible, terrible way to make money. All right, let me put that on here. Here we go. All right, Next one is shitcoins. Okay, so shitcoins, I said a lot of bad things about yield farming. So you think I'd put it in D tier, but actually I'm just going to put it in C tier. And I have a lot of similar things I don't like about shitcoins, similar to the way I don't like leverage trading. Because at the end of the day, it's still a zero-sum game. You're competing directly against other people. If you win, it's only because you put your hands into the pockets of other people and took it out. Now, I'm not going to bash you over the head with like this being a moral dilemma, because everyone knows what they're getting into, right? So it's not like you stole for them, but the only way you can win is if you buy sooner than someone else and you sell faster than someone else, right? You have to buy it lower so other people can buy it higher. Then you have to sell it higher so other people can sell it lower. That ultimately means you're competing against other people, right? This is a dangerous game, and the idea that you've got some kind of special advantage over others is very low. But the reason why I say it's still better than leverage trading is because it's a pretty even playing field, right? Almost no one has some kind of ridiculously unfair advantage over others. As I mentioned with the leverage trading, you're trading against titans of industry in the particular field, right? You're not going to compete against them. With the shitcoiners, you pretty much are trading with other degen idiots, which at least evens the playing field, right? You at least get to all be idiots, which actually makes it kind of even and fair. There's something a little bit endearing about that. You are all making money off each other, but it's not like there's some particular tool that someone has that is going to give them such a massive advantage. And a lot of people come out with these tools all the time, but none of them are really that effective, right? There's very few tools that you can use to get an edge over the market. So it's good. And unlike leverage trading, there aren't any like big fees. And it's always pretty fair because there's always new crap shit coins coming out every day. If it was like the same token, like a multi-cycle shitcoin like Dogecoin or Shibcoin, maybe it's a little bit different because it's hard to compete against whales. But when you're always going into like these new shitcoins, there aren't any whales. You always have the new opportunity to be the whale, even if you don't have that much money. And the thing is with like say leverage trading, you need to have like a pretty large amount of money if you want to be able to compete with the other people, because you don't want to be forced to use huge amounts of leverage because it's so dangerous, right? With shitcoins, for instance, like you can get in with like $16, you can get in with like $100, and you can potentially become a whale. And you can actually make real money. Like most people in crypto at this stage have had the experience of making a huge amount of money in shitcoins. But then the reason why it's C tier is because they also lose that money just as fast because they don't hit the sell button. And that's why it is in C tier. Let's put that up tier. Shitcoins, C tier. Next one is I'm going to go with peer-to-peer trading. Peer-to-peer trading, S tier or A tier? For me personally, I want to say S tier because this is mostly what I do for a living. I love peer-to-peer trading, and this is what mostly my channel is about if you've been watching it. This is where most of my experience comes from, and I've done this at many different levels. I really like peer-to-peer trading, and you can make a lot of money doing it. The reason why... Okay, let me just quickly explain this. I was worried this video is going to be too long, but screw it. Let's just go through it, right? I'm sure you're getting a lot of value out of this. If you like this channel, by the way, and you like the tips that I'm giving you, make sure to smash the like button and hit the subscribe as well, because I don't see anyone making videos like this. So peer-to-peer trading, what this is it's a kind of arbitrage where you're selling crypto above market rate, right? So if you go to a spot trading exchange, you're pretty much buying Bitcoin at market rate, usually slightly above, but the slightly above part is minimal. Like you're not going to be spending more than like 0.1% above market rate. That 0.1% is usually for trading fees. There's maybe a very small amount of slippage. For the most part, you're buying it at market rate. But on when you're trading crypto peer-to-peer and you're selling it, selling Bitcoin, you're selling it above market rate. Maybe you're selling it at 4% above market rate, 5%, 6%, 10%, 12%. It really depends on what the market is. The reason why you're able to do that is because on a peer-to-peer crypto marketplace, you're trading on a marketplace that in a way is similar to eBay, right? Like on eBay, you can sell literally anything you want. You can sell, I don't know, you could sell like this cup, or you could sell like an air guitar. You can sell literally whatever you want. Just you put up a picture, you name your price, and you can sell it for whatever price you want, right? And the reason why someone's able to charge more than market price is because they're going to accept fiat payment via different modes of payment that aren't usually accepted on cryptocurrency exchanges, centralized cryptocurrency exchanges. Centralized cryptocurrency exchanges just accept bank transfer, maybe like Apple Pay or something like that. But for instance, you can't necessarily go to a crypto exchange and buy crypto with Alipay. You can't go to a crypto exchange and buy crypto with TransferWise. You can't use it with PayPal. All these different things, and in fact, a lot of these payment methods explicitly prohibit the use of of funds on that platform to buy cryptocurrency, right? So it's very difficult to buy cryptocurrency on various different like payment platforms, right? Because it's not allowed, and it's just difficult, right? So what you're doing is you're servicing a niche of people that have all these funds on TransferWise, because maybe they've got a business where they get paid funds, or their clients pay them via TransferWise or Revolut or Payoneer or SEPA Instant, or there's like hundreds and hundreds of different payment methods, right? And you're providing them a way to directly access crypto via the place in which they actually have money on, right? And there's so many different niches to this, right? Because it's not just the payment methods that you'd think of. There's also like different payment methods in different countries that are kind of like a lifeline to people, but are kind of a liquid in international monetary markets. So a good example, the one I always like to use, is one called M-Pesa. So in Africa, there is a way of paying people via sending them phone credit, right? So back in the day, if you remember, like if you wanted to be able to text someone or call someone, you would have to load up your phone with like, this kind of phone credit. You go to the store, you put like $30 on it, and then every time you send a text, it decreases your balance. Well, in a lot of countries, you can actually send that balance to somebody else. And this has become like a quasi form of payment, and particularly in East Africa. And now if you want to go buy something, you can just do so via this phone credit, right? And that's a lot of these people don't have banks anyway, right? So it's much more secure than storing money under your mattress, and you can send funds to someone far away. And a lot of these people don't have access to the crypto markets simply because they don't have a bank account. There's no cryptocurrency exchange there that really accepts their currency. So they would have to go into a peer-to-peer market and buy cryptocurrency using this particular payment method. And there is like so many people using it. I'm tempted to bring out a number, but I'll be pulling out of my ass because I don't know exactly. But when I go to the peer-to-peer exchanges, I see like hundreds of offers for this. And many of the peer-to-peer sellers for M-Pesa have like thousands and thousands and thousands of transactions in their history. And many of them are selling crypto at like, maybe 4 or 5% above market rate, right? That is a really nice amount of profit, right? So the amount of money that you can make doing this is a lot. And if you're interested in doing peer-to-peer cryptocurrency trading, you can check out my channel, check out some of the other videos. I've got a lot of nice tutorials out there for you. And yeah, make sure to use my referral link in the description down below if you want to get involved in it. So peer-to-peer cryptocurrency trading, let's knock that one off the list. Where is it? Okay, A tier. Alright, it's going to be kind of a long video. Hang on a sec. Sorry, I put that in the wrong one. Crypto KOL. It's going in A tier. That was an accident. Oops. Oh my gosh. All right. Okay. Next up, we've got pre-sale. So what is pre-sale? Before I put it on somewhere, pre-sale is like ICOs and IDOs and all that, but usually at a higher level. So what I'm talking about is you are typically going to be an angel investor. You're going to be part of like a VC fund, and you go around Silicon Valley or Dubai or Hong Kong or wherever they are, and you go find new crypto projects, and you're basically doing the things I was talking about with the ICOs. But the problem, as I mentioned with the ICOs, is that the people that know about these projects, even before these ordinary plebeians who are trying to get in the ICO, the people that know about them first are the institutional investors, and they get the privilege of being able to invest even before the people who get into the ICO, occasionally even before the people that get into the IDO or the airdrops, right? And it is an unfair system. But this is just usually how it works. The people that can provide this liquidity and have good reputation, usually these are institutions, they get the privilege of getting in much earlier. They're kind of further up the food chain of pre-sale tokens. So pretty much the moment a team get together, write the white paper, they get the details sorted out. The moment that they want funding, the angel investors are already going to be there, the VCs are already going to be there, and they're going to provide some money, and they're already going to have instantly access to like 20% of all the tokens that are in existence. And by the time that the ICOs roll around, even before then, they're worth so much more to to these VCs who got it. They're already pretty much up 10x, and by the time it goes onto the exchange, when it's dumped onto retail, they're already up like 100x. It's a crazy amount of money. Sure, there are risks that they have to take, but this is definitely S tier. You can make so much money doing it, and not many people have the opportunity of doing it. I'm just going to type in pre-sale, but this is basically venture capitalists, angel investors, and whatnot. Next up, we're going to have NFTs. NFTs are going to be C tier. So they're better than leverage trading, but they're pretty much the same in every way, shape, and form as trading shitcoins. In fact, I would say this is even lesser than shitcoins, because shitcoins tend to have they have the ability to stay and last a little longer. And hear my reasoning out a little bit. Prior to recently, prior to the invention of pump.fun, where anybody could create a shitcoin, prior to that, like back in 2021, if you wanted to create a shitcoin, it still required a few brain cells to be able to do. You still had to know a few things. Maybe you had to know a couple of things about smart contracts. So it wasn't guaranteed that every shitcoin would pump back then, but a lot did, because there weren't so many to the point where it was completely saturated. I would say it's a little different with NFTs. I think even back then, anybody could create an NFT, and it was very hard to tell what was valuable and what was not. But at the same time, like, I'm going to be honest, I'm not a huge expert in NFTs. So I don't want to talk too much about them. All I know is it's still very much a zero-sum game. You have to, buy earlier than everyone else. You have to dump on other people. There's a very good chance you're going to be left holding bags for years at a time, and maybe you'll never be able to dump those bags. And it's basically shitcoining. So we'll just leave it at that. Next one is investing in Bitcoin. Where am I going to put this? I'm not joking. I'm going to put it in an A tier. I was tempted, but I didn't want to do it. So why do I put this up so high? I'm really tempted to put it in S tier. Okay, but let's just do this for now, right? The reason why Bitcoin, okay, everyone knows why investing in Bitcoin is so valuable, but let's just be honest, right? The amount of gains you can make investing in Bitcoin is much lower than it was before. If you got in 2009, if you got in from the period of 2009 to 2013, which is the first bull run era, I don't know, you would have made like 1,000% or something ridiculous, right? If you got in the 2013 to 2017 era, that epoch, you would have made 20x. Then from the 2008-17 era to the 2021 era, you would have only made a 3x. What's going to come this bull run? I don't know. It's probably going to be less, maybe more. I have no idea. But we're not going to see those crazy gains before, right? So you might think, look, if I'm only going to make like a little bit of extra money, extra 2x or whatever, why would this be ranked so highly? Well, the difference between now and before is that before, people made a lot of money in exchange for huge amounts of risk. Like Bitcoin was as risky as it could get. It was very few people using it. It didn't have that much utility. Now Bitcoin is literally mainstream. Like I can't believe I get to live in the day in the year of 2024 where Bitcoin is as mainstream as apple pie now. I mean, it's up there with all the biggest tech stocks. No one jokes about it anymore. You don't get any of these snide articles written by Forbes magazine about how Bitcoin is finished. It's endorsed by the literal president-elect. It's really safe now, right? And that safety, I genuinely believe at this point in particular, is something you can carry in to the future. I'm not talking about this year. I'm talking about 10 years down the line. I'm talking 20 years down the line. I'm talking 30 years down the line. I'm talking like it's something you could even pass down to your children. And if you're thinking about Bitcoin in the long term, like I'm talking over the course of your life and even the life of even your children, if you want to go that far, Bitcoin could easily do another 30, 40x. And it's safe and it's good. And the reason why I also rank it highly is that anybody can do it. And I know what I said before is like I rank highly things that have a fairly high barrier of entry, like not everybody could do it. But the irony is like not everyone is actually going to hold Bitcoin for like 10, 20 years. The reality is most people are just degenerate idiots who want to get into Bitcoin just simply for the little pumps and dumps. And as it gets more expensive, fewer and fewer retail people are even going to bother investing it. They're going to be investing in crap coin, right? But if you have the discipline to actually buy and hold Bitcoin through bull markets, through bear markets, over the next 30 years, through nuclear apocalypses, through changes in the world to the point where the world is not even recognizable. If you can hold on to it for that long, you'll be rich. And someone mentioned that like even owning 0.1% of Bitcoin is a big deal, because if everyone in the world owned Bitcoin and there's 8 billion people, only, 1% of the whole world can own like 0.1% Bitcoin. So if you want to become part of the 1% of the world, theoretically, you'd only have to buy and hold 0.1 Bitcoin at this current moment and wait for Bitcoinization to happen like 20, 30 years down the line. I think that's a really good idea. I think it's more reasonable than the other things I've got on this list. The reason why I wanted to put it in S tier, you know what? Screw it. I'm putting it in S tier because it's a simple thing that anybody can do, but very few people are actually going to do. You can make huge amounts of money in the long term, and this is also good because it filters out all the degens who are going to be looking for the short-term thing, right? So everything else on this list here that I've mentioned, even my beloved P2P stuff, nothing is as long-term as just buying and holding Bitcoin, storing it, putting it in cold storage, and DCAing over the long term, right? It's the best thing that you could possibly do. So I'm just going to put Bitcoin investing, S tier. Okay. Here we go. NFTs. There we go. All right. Next one we've got. What is this? Copy trading. So for those that don't know, I'm not going to go into this one too much, but for those that don't know what copy trading is, it's not something that just exists in crypto. It exists in the stock market. Basically, you get the equivalent of these kind of like KOLs, people with a lot of followers on social media. Maybe they've got a lot of followers on Telegram, and they basically make trades themselves, and they say, guys, like I see a good, like now is like a really good time for Nvidia because like their profit report came out, their quarterly report came out, and it's looking good, and like we're looking at these different trend lines, and this has like an 80% chance of going up, and I'm going in, and they put in a trade, and the assumption is that if they've got a lot of followers and they've got like proof of how much money they make, then the assumption is that they make money, right? And the assumption is if you copied their trades, then you would also make money as well. But that doesn't frequently end up being the case, because by the time they've put in that position, again, you have to understand this is a zero-sum game reality. So what that person does is he makes the buy order, he goes long, he goes short, right? So he's already in a good position. Then all these other people are going to come in after him, and it's like a game of musical chairs. Whoever comes in the very first after that, after the real trader, whoever's the first copycat gets the second best result, right? Whoever's the third copycat gets the third best result. The fourth person gets the fourth best result, and so on and so forth. Then you get to the point where there's no chairs left, and the people that get in too late, right? Because by the time that first trader closes his position, he's in profit, right? Then he's going to signal to the person who's the second fastest, because they're going to close their position. Third person's going to close their position, and ultimately the price is going to go down and go up. It's going to swing wildly. And the person further down, who's just a little less fast than the other people, is going to end up not being in profit. So the person who actually is the good trader, who everyone's copying, that person can be in profit, and everyone can make the same decision as he does, but still not be in profit, simply because it's not possible for them to be faster than him or the same speed as him, and it's very unlikely they're going to outcompete the hundreds or maybe thousands of other people who are copying his trade. So it's very unlikely that they're going to be the early bird that gets the worm. And as a result, people who do copy trading, they don't really make that much money. Most of the time they lose money. Next one is, what do we have here? Crypto jobs. What is a crypto job and where is it? Putting it in S tier. There's a lot of things that I like. There's a lot of ways you can make money in crypto, purely in crypto. That doesn't require you to be part of anything bigger. You don't have to create your own. You don't have to be part of like some organization. And I think a lot of people want to do that. And I've been very lucky to be a part of things like that. But at the end of the day, nothing beats just having a normal job. And I know this sounds very boring. I mean, I put S tier, I put Bitcoin, just investing in Bitcoin in S tier, and I put having a job in S tier as well. But the reason why I do these things is because I have a very realistic outlook on the fact, like I've been in this long enough to tell you for certain that most people that get involved in crypto not only don't make money, they actively lose money, usually because they're involved in some kind of scheme. They're trying to get an edge on the market. And unless they're just doing what I mentioned, just getting involved in Bitcoin, for the long term, these guys always end up getting wrecked. And they get churned out, and they don't make money in the long term. They don't stay in they're not even able to last one or maybe two cycles, right? The people that just do ordinary things, like just get a job and just invest in Bitcoin, long term, these are the people that end up becoming like extremely wealthy from cryptocurrency. And I'm just being really honest, right? The people that get involved in the NFTs and the leverage traders and all this crap, these people lose money in the long term. Short term, they might be able to make a lot of money, but frequently they don't keep it. So what am I talking about with crypto jobs? So first, you don't have a normal job. You've got a crypto job, and your salary typically is going to rise and fall with the overall crypto industry. So you've got a way of gleaning the value of the upside of crypto, whilst also having stability, and probably even you have the opportunity to make even more money, because maybe they give you their version of stock options, which is like, like if you work with us for a little while, we'll give you a certain percentage of like our token or something like that. And the other thing as well is that there's a roughly low barrier for entry to this. And again, I know I said that the things I'd value the highest are things with high barriers for entry, but it's just that most people don't really do this, right? For instance, like if you get a crypto job, there's so many different things within that industry that you can do. Like you can go into HR, you can go into sales, you can go into business development. It doesn't have to necessarily just be like doing like smart contract developing. You don't necessarily have to be a techie, right? The thing is that a lot of people in sales or in business development or in HR, even superstars in that field, aren't necessarily likely going to go into the crypto industry. And on top of that, they're not really a good culture fit. Like people that are hiring for these crypto positions, obviously they want the best hire they can get, but they ultimately want people who are in the crypto industry, who understand the lingo, understand the culture, which is a really big thing. Therefore, anyone could really get into these jobs, theoretically, right? I'm sure a lot of people are trying to get these jobs, and I'm sure, like in many industries, it's hard to get, but theoretically, you can break into this industry. And this is also something that rises and falls with bull and bear market cycles. So if you get in during a bull market, you might be able to make a decent chunk of money. You might be able to get tokens. Like let's just say you're working for a project that they deal in tokens, and you might be able to get tokens from that, right? And also the really big thing is you'll be able to actually get your foot in the door of the industry and make really valuable networks and connections. So to me, the reason why I value this so highly is because if you want to do this for the long term and you want to make big bucks, you need to actually be properly in the industry itself. You need to be shaking hands with other people that are working in the industry. You need to build up a reputation for yourself in the industry, and you can slowly work your way up in a career within this industry. Even if it's just, again, it's not something that's specifically tech related. So long term, and here's the thing, in the same way that crypto and Bitcoin is in a bull run and it's going up over time, you can surf that wave by just being in the industry itself. And you can find yourself, like imagine if the likes of Coinbase eventually gets to the notoriety and valuation of something like a Goldman Sachs or something like that. Imagine just getting in on the ground early of a place like Goldman Sachs. You're just a regular pleb with a regular sales job, a regular business development job, and you get in on the ground early of one of these big, like one of these maybe like worldwide lesser known firms. So just like Binance is big for us in the crypto world, but like it's not a Goldman Sachs, it's not a JP Morgan. Like what if it gets to the point where like you somehow land an intern role at Binance or something like that. You stick with that role. I mean, not obviously as an intern for 10 years, but you stick around for 10 years and Binance is now like the next JP Morgan. Like that is something that's very long term, and it's something you can build up over a long term. So that's why crypto jobs can be very valuable. And I put that in S tier. So crypto jobs, let's put that there. Crypto jobs. And I have another S tier one for you, and it's going to surprise you. And it's going to go like this, but where is, I'm just going to find it. Pretty sure it's this one. And what could this be? You're not going to guess because the picture is not very telling. It is marketing, crypto marketing. So I decided not to put this in the same tier as the other S tier ones. I didn't decide to include this with crypto jobs because marketing is something that you could do freelance. It's something you can do on a contractual basis. You can be independently employed. You just work for yourself. The difference between this and crypto jobs is that you can work for yourself, but you can also work for other people. So why is this so valuable? Over time, I've come to learn that the success and failure of any crypto product, token, whatever, ultimately comes down to community. Tech is very, very, it's not that much related to price and the success of a token. You'd think it is. You'd think people are really concerned about, whether X token does like 10,000 more TPS than like its next competitor, and that's the reason why people buy. But that's not it. People will join for the community. Community is everything. And the people that are responsible for making community happen are the marketers, crypto marketers specifically. And crypto marketers know how to take a completely unknown crypto project and have that project eventually have tens of thousands of loyal Telegram followers. They know how to get someone's Twitter account with like 100 followers and get it to like 50,000 followers, right? And they'll do this in all kinds of ways. Maybe it's blatant shilling. Maybe they're the ones employing KOLs. They are ultimately the real linchpins in the success of any cryptocurrency project. They really do make it happen. And as a result, they can actually charge a lot of money. And you can't necessarily just do marketing. I mean, if you go from marketing and then learn how to do crypto marketing, that's another thing. But you can't just go from marketing to crypto marketing. You have to have like certain specific skill sets that will allow you to build a crypto audience. So knowing how to create and build and manage and foster a community on Telegram is a very unique skill set. And doing the same on Twitter and doing the same on Discord as well. These are very unique skill sets, and you can make a lot of money doing it. You can reach out to pretty much if you send an email to every single crypto project. There's thousands and thousands out there. Most crypto companies, if anyone in a decision-making responsibility opened up your email, there was like an offer to work with them to do crypto marketing, they're bare minimum going to be interested in reading it, even if they don't work with you. The reason why is because that's really what they need to get their token price to go up. That's what they need to get their profits to go up, to get their fees to go up. Everything revolves around marketing. So this is one of the best things that you could do to get involved in the crypto industry. And by the way, if you are interested in crypto marketing, you can check out my website. I do marketing for crypto, specifically focusing on the China market. If you're looking for someone that can help you do that, you can check out my website and you can send an email to me. So yeah, the next one that we're going to do, we've only got 3 left here. And this one is going to be a dev. You are going to be a smart contract developer, and or you're going to be like someone working the tech angle, the back end, the front end of crypto websites. Is it going to be S tier, A tier, B tier? I'm going to put it in A tier. So I thought that I was going to put this in S tier before, because for a really long time, I assumed that anyone that could command the ability to do smart contracts and do development, I thought that they would be able to get a really high price, because ultimately they are the stars of the show. These are the people actually responsible for creating the products that people use. And I met a lot of crypto devs, and some of them make very good money. And what clued me in on this was back in 2021, there were a lot of people making so much money, stupid amounts of money, doing very little work. And because you'd have all these rich people who made a lot of money in crypto, or maybe they weren't that familiar with crypto and how it works, but they wanted to get in on the action and start their own DEX, or they wanted to start some other project that had done well. And ultimately this would result in, someone would just go and fork the Uniswap code and just give that to their client, and maybe they would service it, and that was it. And as a result, they would get like 10, 20K up front just for forking the code. And then they would get a retainer fee of $2,000 a month, really just to service this code. I mean, it's ridiculously easy. I remember when ohm forks were a thing. Many of you aren't familiar with it. It's basically just another DeFi Ponzi scheme. And there were so many people that were spending huge amounts of money just to get someone to fork the original Olympus DAO code, right? Very, very simple work. You can make a lot of money. The problem with this is that it's just very seasonal. So during bull markets, you can make a lot of money. During the bear markets, there's just less people that are going to be using this skill. You would want to reach out to more established institutions or crypto projects, and maybe you can work for them. Maybe you work for them and just get a crypto job, like I talked about before. That's going to be in the S tier. But assuming that you're doing what a lot of people are doing, which is just freelancing, contracting, stuff like that, it can be a little bit unstable, and you might not be able to get those big wins until it's the bull market season. But the reason why it's still so highly valued is because these are the showrunners. These are the people that actually create stuff, right? And it just, at the end of the day, there's very few people that can actually do it. Very few people can actually write crypto code, whether it's on Solidity, whether it's on Rust, whatever it is. And these people are required to actually make the next league of products. But I want to make a point here that it's still worth less than the crypto market is, because the reason why it's not up there in S tier with the crypto market is because, as I mentioned, Most of crypto is it's a fugazi. It's not real. You know, it's about the weaving of narratives. It's about creating a picture book that you're going to read to children, and marketers are good at that. Marketers ultimately bring in more money than the tech people. The tech people create the products, but most tech people aren't really the people that really bring money into the business, and that's a sad reality. I wish it wasn't the case. Part of me wishes that the world was run as a pure meritocracy, like a Platonic republic where it's just run by smart engineers. But that's never going to happen. It's never going to happen. The world belongs to the Dreamweavers, and that's why the people that go into this dev stuff, they're below the marketers and they're just A tier. But that's not a bad thing. I still think it's a great thing. And then we've got two more. What do we have here? Give me one moment because I almost forgot what this is. Okay, making your own crypto project. This is what this is. Making your own crypto project. Where is this going to be? Let me just drop it here for now, B tier. I'm going to explain why, and over the course of my explanation, I'm going to see if I'm going to change my mind. So let's just make one thing clear. Most projects don't make money. Most of them don't last a year. Most of them don't last one bull cycle. If you look at the top 30 projects from 4 years ago, a lot of them aren't here now. If you look at the projects from like 4 years before that, most of those ones aren't here now. And the top 30 projects, when I say projects, I'm talking about like as evaluated by CoinMarketCap, top 30 like coins evaluated by their market cap. If you look at the ones from back in 2012, 2018, they're not here today. They don't last long. Most of them don't get past the white paper stage, and it's usually in the white paper stage where there's going to be a lot of hype. That's when these tokens and these projects get the most favor. That's when most of the time people start buying. But when push comes to shove and they actually create the projects, it's really hard, and most of the time they don't make money. Most projects don't make any money. They have no revenue model. They don't generate fees, and when they do generate fees, it's not that much. A lot of projects were built to service an ecosystem that is scarcely developed yet, and as a result, they can't do much. Like, I want to give an example, for instance, right? Chainlink is an Oracle protocol system, which will allow projects and dApps within the DeFi ecosystem to get data, real world data from this Oracle system. And this was created like way back when, and at the time it seemed so revolutionary, and the price shot up dramatically, and everyone thought it was going to be just so important. But now we've gotten to 2024 with that particular technology is either it's not valued that much, and where it is valued, it doesn't really produce that much money. Like, the amount of fees that Chainlink accrues is just not that much, right? And that's a best case scenario because Chainlink is still a success as far as I'm concerned. It's been around for a long time. Most tokens and projects will never get to that stage. But if you want to evaluate it from the point of view of whether or not it can make money, that's another thing you have to take into account. You're probably not going to make money. If you're lucky, you'll get the attention of the pre-sale people. As I mentioned before, you'll get the attention of angel investors and VCs. They'll dump a bunch of money to you, and you'll be consuming those angel investor funds, presumably until you're able to become profitable. The chances are you're probably not going to become profitable. So really what you're doing is you're just essentially getting a paid job for the next year or two until those funds run out. And then you're going to be out of luck. I just don't, and the reason why I'm saying this, I'm just basing this on the history of the fact that most crypto projects don't make money and they don't last long. The only exception to this that I can say is the very last one we have on our list, and that is crypto exchanges. So when I mention crypto projects, I'm usually talking about like the next layer 1, the next layer 2, the next ZK rollup, the next thing, right? A crypto exchange is different. Crypto exchange, I'm just going to put it in A tier for now. I'm just going to put it in A tier. And by the way, projects can stay in B tier where they belong. But crypto exchanges can be very profitable. They're much more doable than you think, but very few people do it because it does have a degree of complication to it. Of all the crypto projects that actually make real money, the main one is going to be a crypto exchange, right? So a crypto exchange, the basic business model goes like this. Let's just say you're a spot exchange with an AMM. An AMM means automated market maker. That's kind of like where you see like you've got all these buy orders and sell orders, and they're automatically, sorry, it's been a long video, they're automatically matched up with each other to connect the buys and the sell orders with each other. And each time a trade is made on the spot market, the exchange makes 0.1%, which doesn't sound like a lot, but when you get an exchange going, I mean, it takes a really long time to get it going, right? The idea of doing like, let's say something with low end, $100,000 a day isn't really that much, right? Like it's very doable, $100,000 a day. And, but then if you think about it, profit-wise, you're only making $100 a day, right? So you really have to be thinking about getting into the millions, it's very difficult to get there. But once you're getting into the millions, scaling up and getting larger and larger is not as difficult as you would expect. And a lot of the work is mostly done by itself. Of course, you would have to hire people. Regulations are a very big deal. But that 0.1%, it's basically just collecting money at that stage. It's not like the machine's going to break down and you have to go in with the pliers and like unscrew something and then like put some motor oil on it. Like once the infrastructure's set up, once you've got the user base for it, it just collects money, right? Again, you'd have to hire people for various customer support stuff, but that money is just going to be churning out. It's really very profitable. The problem is with that particular kind of exchange, you can't play it at a small level. It has to be big. You have to play at a big level, which means you're going to need a large amount of funds in the beginning. And this is where the barrier for entry comes in. Like not everyone can do it because you would need like a couple of $100,000 to invest in this particular kind of exchange, right? But there are other kinds of exchanges where ordinary people can do it and it can have higher profitability. So one that I'm more familiar with is a P2P cryptocurrency exchange. By the way, about these exchanges, you can basically get these white labeled. So there are different companies that basically create these exchanges and then you pay them to basically slap your own logo on it, and then it's yours, right? So you can do this with the centralized AMM exchange. You can do it with a P2P cryptocurrency exchange. And the business model of a P2P cryptocurrency exchange is that like, instead of making 0.1%, you make a whole 1%, you get less volume. Basically, what you would really have to do for work is mostly people can just trade with each other with no problem. And in that sense, it's almost like a passive income, except the real work you'd have to do is moderating like all the disputes. And when you've got like hundreds of trades a day, it's going to require like a lot of work to sift through all the scammers and all the complicated issues. So there's more work involved, and I think it requires a bit more personnel. But it's less complicated than an AMM, and it doesn't require that much startup capital. And for instance, like if you get to a point where you're doing $100,000 in volume, 1% of that is like 1,000. So you can make like $1,000 a day theoretically, right? And $100,000 in transactional volume isn't that much, considering if you're dealing in every single kind of currency, if you're dealing in every single payment method, every country, which by the way, you don't have to set up any of these things. It's the traders themselves that are actually the ones that are posting these offers. So you don't have to do anything in particular to allow Canadian dollars to be traded or like Kenyan shillings to be traded. The sellers will basically bring the business themselves to your platform, and they're basically going to populate it themselves with different offers, offers from different countries, currencies, stuff like that. And you can make good money like that. And the last different kind of exchange you can start is a DEX. I'm not as familiar with that, but as I mentioned before, you could basically hire someone to just fork a Uniswap code. Most of the success and failure of the DEX or practically any of the other exchanges I mentioned, peer-to-peer or the AMM one, it really just comes down to marketing. Like if you've got enough of a user base, any of these things can be very profitable, and it shouldn't require a huge amount of labor in order to keep this machine running. So guys, that's it for now. My voice is completely running out, so I'm gonna have to end the video here. If you like this video, please subscribe, make sure to like, and if you're interested in getting involved in P2P cryptocurrency trading, which as I put is A tier, I think it's a great way to make money. It's a great way to buy and sell crypto without KYC. You can use my referral links in the description down below, and you can get a special discount on trading fees. And if you're interested in crypto marketing as well, you can also send me an email. You can check out my website, cybersprintmarketing.com. And if you want, we can arrange to have a meeting. So thanks a lot for watching, guys, and I'll talk to you next time.